everybody, I'm Cinnamon Kuna, your art Sherpa, and I am so excited to be coming to you today with day 5 of my Shark Art Week. That's right, I'm celebrating Shark Week with 5 days of shark-related art. Today, I have a tornado and sharks in the sky. I'm going to show you how easy it is to paint this. I'm going to tell you everything you need to do to create this at home, and I'm going to explain to you plausibly why sharks would ever be in the sky. So get your paint, get your brushes, come back and meet me at the easel right now. We're gonna shark it up. Let's look at the materials we're gonna be using in today's tutorial. I've got a 9x12 canvas board that I painted black myself with black gesso. I really like black gesso. It's a very matte, it's inexpensive, and I like the tooth on it, but of course you could use black paint. Over here I have the colors Indian Yellow, Prussian Blue, Titanium White, Mars Black, Alizarin Crimson, Zinc White. I also have a General's Charcoal White pencil and, of course, brushes for acrylic painting. Listen, check the description below for material information. I even include some color substitutions just in case you don't have a color, because that's not a reason not to do a painting. You can always do color exchanges to something that's close. So definitely read that information if you need it. Now I'm going to come here on my canvas and start sketching in my tornado. I'm going to do a big sky tornado with flying sharks like you do. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice big round area. This is the part of the tornado that is going to connect in. And I'm going to want my tornado to sort of come out and then bend it backwards, because that's what I found very interesting in a lot of my tornado pictures that I was looking at for reference. And you should look at references, especially if you're painting something unusual from nature. So I'm going to bring this down to this little teeny tiny foot. I think that's a very important thing. Bring some of these little circles here for the cone, right? Because this is the swirling air. And I'm going to definitely paint that around. So once I have that in, I'm going to start laying in my sky using some nice dry brushing, and it's going to be about creating this really stormy sky and, of course, debris that's splattering up. Let's start. So I've got this brush. This is going to be like, it's damp but dry. I'm going to come over and start with my Prussian Blue. I really like this color for this canvas. I'm just going to load this brush up with no extra water and this, and I'm going to come and start putting in the low part of the sky with my blue. The reason that I like having, and I'm doing what's called a dry brush. You can see I'm wiggling my brush around, I'm going up, and I'm going to actually curve my lines here a bit. It can be hard for you guys to see the stuff when I'm getting some white here on this canvas because it's dark on dark, but this is actually a really fun thing to do. I'm going to come here again, just working the edge of this, doing my big space, filling in these big cloudy areas, right? And then let's come here and get another part of this coming in this way. I like this bluer area of the sky. Let's get some more Prussian Blue. Let's shade it here, coming in with more blue. And then you can see I'm just letting the black stay down here, and then let's really just sort of dry brush this here. There's this dust and debris. I'm going to have, see, I'm skiggling my brush around. That's right, that's the word, skiggling. But what I'm doing is I'm just trying to keep it moving randomly so that I'm not making really orderly strokes here, because what I want is this sort of wild shape. And just a little bit of paint put down and a little bit of color. Let's add some over here. Got a little white on my brush from before, and I'm going to just make sure these curves are super important to this type of sky. When you're painting any kind of super stormy weather, skiggling this around, the bristles are helping me make this random stroke. I really want you to look at this. See, I'm going back and forth, and I'll go up and down. I'm leaving areas of black here. I'm going to come down, back up, and then let's put a little bit of this here. Even though we know we're going to come back, let's just go back and forth up here with this. Now this right here, I really want it to be quite dark, so I might actually take the blue and the black together. I'm going to come here and make sure, even a little more black, that this part of my cloud is so, so dark. This backside, and skiggle, scrumble, scumble this all in through the space. Just back and forth. Look at me, just back and forth. When you see me doing this, what this tells you is that the areas are more about getting some values. Let's get some white on the brush. More than a little white value right here. Maybe another little one. Get some zinc if you have it. It is very nice to have zinc white for landscapes if you can get it. If you don't have any, don't not paint the landscape. Let's come up here. Right? Don't not paint this landscape because you don't have something, right? It's very important. I'm going to dry brush in and sort of some guides for me so I can make sure that I've got a swirling sky as I'm going. See, I gave myself some guides. And that's going to be something that you're going to need. And you don't need them to be super special or particular. You just need to know these ellipses. See how this is an ellipse? It comes around in an ellipse. So I'm down here in the lower midpoint, and I curl up and I come around to about the halfway point and ellipse back in. It can be kind of hard to think about an ellipse at first if you haven't done it for a while. All right, so I need to lighten up this part quite a lot. I'm going to get the zinc. Zinc or mixing white will work here, but again, if you don't have it, just use your titanium white. I'm going to just make sure that I'm putting in these clouds, my little circles as I would. I like the zinc for its transparency. There's a lot of blue right here. Let's pull that blue out right there, right? That lets you know it's kind of what's happening in the sky, maybe some other places. Some different areas. I'm going to wipe off this brush. Right, I'm going to get a lot more black on it. But I'm going to make sure I have the blue because I don't want just a pure black. I might get some zinc white. And see that gray right there? I'm going to put some of that gray. A couple places right here in the corner. Arcing down. You can come down in an arc. And then you're on the edge of your brush. Maybe back and forth motion here, this mid joint. Just keep that going. Back here is a lot more gray. I'm going to get the titanium white and the black. Any natural bristle brush will shed off a reasonable amount of bristles. And you can always pre-wash your brushes if you want to pre-shed them. I'm going to just bring this gray value here in my corner as I'm going. Pick up a little more blue, a little titanium white. I have not rinsed my brush yet. And the reason being is that all this pigment, I'm just curving. See how I'm doing this sort of arced curve back and forth? Just creating the energetic directionality of the storm. That's all. Painting this, little of the Prussian, little of the zinc. And again, you just have titanium white. Wherever I say zinc, you use titanium white. Don't worry about it. But if you have it, it's great to have for landscapes. And if you want to do a lot of landscape painting, I recommend it as an investment. I'm going to rinse this out. And just kind of get it back to a starting point. And then the other thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to start wanting to put my other values places. So I've got this Indian yellow. You could use cad yellow deep. You could use really any deep yellow, Australian sienna. These are all good. If you just couldn't get any of those, you could use yellow ochre. I'm going to load this up. I'm going to come get some of this white that has a little bit of that black in it. See that? So I want to give a slight yellow cast to some of this here. I'm going to just, can you see me just going back and forth and dry brushing some of this around? Let's give this an uneven aspect, right? You can even come here to the front of this. And look at this, I'm just going to the front of this, get some more white. Just stroking this back, showing this highlighted side. Highlighted side is what you're looking to have. Already it's a lot more tornado-y. Keep adding this white. I'm going to just stroke back first. Then I'm going to start this kind of the little squiggle that I'm having. And now you're starting to see that the clouds are happening. There's a little of this yellow up here, this corner. See me just sort of wiggling my brush. Can you see that little motion, how I'm doing that? Like a lot of times I like to take it to the corner. A lot of times I like to take it to the corner. All right, I'm going to rinse that out. We're going to come right here and shade the other side of our tornado. I'm going to take a little of my Prussian blue and honestly a little of my titanium white. So I've got a whole quest on why you would use zinc white and titanium white. And really it's about this very strong pigmentation of the titanium white. I'm scumbling back and forth. I come here and just pushing in. There we go. White blue. Get some zinc white there. And what it is that the zinc doesn't overpower the color as much. And so that's very nice when you're trying to control things like atmosphere on a painting like this. But it's not a block. It's a nice privilege that you can enjoy. I'm going to get some of my black on my brush. Just paint that in there. All right. Painting that in there. Get some blue. I'm just going to brush that up. Let's come right here. Just creating these values. Scumbling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with this dark shading. So we have it light here, darker here, a sweep around here. Almost done with this. Look, I mean, it is like, boom, get a tornado in, right? Now I'm going to get this scumble brush. You could also use a number 4 bright that you would, it has a nice stiff bristle for scumbling. Any brush you want to scumble with. But I'm going to start putting in some like details. I'm going to get a little of the yellow on here. And just push it out and grab some of the zinc. And here in my little tornado, I'm going to come and I'm going to make some, I go back and forth, I'm dry brushing here. These are great on dry brushing. They can get a little sticky wet into wet, but they're just like amazing. But any brush you have is fine. Just some pure white, just right here. You can come right here and pull that back. just going to give this a little definition, just a little thought here. See how we're doing this front leading edge? Super nice. You can get that any way you want. Just enjoy that. Just see me going circling around. If you're doing this with the bright, you do this on the square of the brush. Wipe off the brush if you need to. Keep getting a little of this white. Let's push a little of this foot out here. These are little bits of cloud that have, this is the energy that's coming in and getting swirled in. We're almost done and ready to put in some sharks. All right. First we just got to get some of this energetic space in. Let's push this around here. I want this to be a little bit darker, so maybe grab a little blue into your brush and just make sure that this is, see I've come and ellipsed that around. You're just trying to say that there's this space that's happening. I'm just pushing and pressing and scumbling it around, right? The reason why sometimes I like to switch to a round edge, if I have that option, I can do this with the squares, is that it keeps that round aspect, so it helps me hold some organic space. I don't have to press out my corners so much to get it going here. There we go. Just clouding it up, right? It's crazy how fun and easy it is. All right. So take a minute and look at your piece, assess the value. Are you happy with it? Are you seeing your tornado? The thing you're going to want to look for to make it feel really, really tornado-y is it needs to be dark on this side. This side needs to be dark because you're really shading a cone. And this side needs to be lighter, right? So if you're having trouble seeing the shape, right, that's what you're going to keep, like if I'm just going like this, that's what you're going to keep playing with. And then also the directionality of your stroke. If you really, really are still having trouble seeing the shadow here on this edge, what's happened is that you don't have enough black. All you've got to do is get your black. I'm going to take this little brush. And I like to use this one to define this edge, because it keeps that organic space. See how I'm holding that space, and now you're starting to see the tornado jump out from the sky. This is just a value study, you know, until we put the shark in, and then it's a whole nother deal. I'm going to just make sure I've got nice, I'm going to just work in those values. Just come. Just back and forth and dry brushing. Now we have this beautiful energetic sky. This would look good big. This would look good small. Let's dry this and talk about adding in some flying sharks. So I'm going to use my chalk pencil again to sketch in my shark. This is, of course, another area where it's totally okay to use the traceable. Tracing is definitely not cheating. It's just an art skill, as is drawing. You pick them up as you feel like. It's totally up to you. I'm going to sketch this guy in. So once you have him sketched in or traced on how you like him, it's time to paint him in. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to paint. And with everything that we've already had, it's just about value studies. Let's get going. All right, so I'm going to block him in with this number 6 bright. This is a Ruby Satin Bright, and this is a synthetic filament brush. I'm going to drag off any extra water. And my whole big thing that I'm going to be looking for with him is values, right? So the top of him is darker in pigmentation, but maybe he's lit, so that's something to think about. But I'm going to mix the blue and the black together before I even add the white into it, because there is a slight blue cast to the upper part of a great white's pigmentation, and I don't want to not respect that. So I'm going to come along where I've had this line in. Now I've got some Alizarin Crimson because I'm going to put a slightly pink cast, I feel, to some of his coloring. Right? Just coming along here. Right? We're going to just do that. Yay! Just getting that in. Making sure we got some belly. I might a little bit down the fin here. And then, of course, leaving that belly for the pink belly. It's kind of funny to think that they have sort of these really adorable, creamy little bellies. Probably not to any of the seals. Is that funny? And also something I've learned from watching like a lot of shark programming is the only reason that sharks would be in the sky like this is seals have suddenly learned how to fly. And I mean, I don't mean to spoil like years and years of shark documentaries, but whenever they're like, why is the shark here? It's always seals. It's always seals are there. That is the only reason sharks are ever there. I find it very funny because they'll run a whole program and be like, why is the shark there? Seals. I'm just screaming at the TV. Seals. Read an article about why sharks have shown up somewhere. Seals. So what I'm saying is that if you were to have sharks in the sky for any reason, the base cause of that would absolutely be some seals. Flying aeronautical seals. And this guy has just come up to, you know, check that out because he's hungry. He's got, you know, a lot of energy to exert. I grabbed some more black on this because I want the fin to be a little bit darker. As I'm pulling this up, just run some of this into his little body here, some of this black. A little bit here. I don't want to take it too far. I'm going to wipe it off on my brush because I want his eye to really show up. But you can see I'm just squiggling the brush around a little bit back and forth. This is a move I do a lot. If you paint with me often, the squiggle move is a move we do a lot. Now I'm doing these like little neat brush strokes for the tail because I'm wanting this to be a little bit smooth and shiny. And when I have that basic shape in and I feel like he's looking pretty shark-tastic for, you know, shark now flying in the sky, which is gotta be never good news for anybody. And again, especially the seals. I'm going to get a lot of white on my brush, but I still want some black into it. And now, believe it or not, get a little of your alizarin in there. Just a hint. It should just be a hint of it. I don't want it purple. Adding a little water. But I just want a hint of that. And I'm going to even play with that a little bit. I'm painting just right inside here. You can even come down the fin. We'll do a really cool lighting effect to separate these two objects in just a second, but we've got to get this first base color in. I'm working the edge of my brush where I need to have neat and tidy coverage, and then, you know, you gotta give him a little kiss right in the nose. Right? That'll come up there. Just giving that, and I like to get a little dry brushy and sort of make sure that these two lines aren't too defined, because, you know, natural animals, right? And these guys all have really unique markings, apparently. So that's what they say, or they're just messing with me. I can't tell. It could be a little highlight to the front of the fin, and then come here. All right. So when I have that two-tone, I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit, just a little bit, and I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. Now, I don't like to get cramped in my brush strokes, so that's why I switched down. So I'm going to get this number 2 bright, also ruby satin silver, and maybe I'll change to some cleaner water. I don't think I'd need to as much on this piece, but it's just a good idea. I'm going to get some black. I'm going to come in here and just a little bit back here right here in the center of his mouth, I'm going to add some black. Right? Now I'm going to come back with some other stuff, layering over this, but I just want to make sure that before I start putting in the noticeably pink gums and projected teeth that one might be seeing at this moment, flying in the sky, doing their little shark things, that I have this nice basis of a dark color. The next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to get a little of my, I can do my zinc or I can do my titanium white, either one is fine, and a little of my crimson here. The zinc will make it more transparent. I'm just going to want to come into his little area. I'm going to come on the little nose with a little of this. Right here at the forward leading edge, guys, right here. Highlight right here. Brush that back. Right there. Just a little of this, even maybe a little more right here. It's just a little bit, right? It's noticeable. A little bit down this fin. Rinse out my brush a titch. Because I can get my white again, and I just want to make sure that's pretty rounded. All right. Just pulling that up, giving him some shape. Dry brush right here. Very dry brush at the nose. Now, I feel like he'd have some like glowing ethereal highlights, but I need this to dry just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crimson, and I can get a little of my blue. I could get my black or my blue, but I'm going to get my blue. I'm going to come in and hit my first layer for the toothy gums that I'm going to be dealing with right here. This is a super important part of the painting. Let's pull a little bit right there. We just want to know that when the teeth are up that there's going to be a hint of red, otherwise. What are we doing? Have we really sharked? Have we sharked it all? Let that dry for a second. We're actually, believe it or not, nearly done. I just want to take this in. You could do maybe a little zinc and a little of the Indian yellow. See how, notice it just stays really yellow. It doesn't whiten out. So that's a nice thing. But again, just use the titanium. If what you have is just titanium. What you want is, I want him to just be maybe a little highlight. Right here at the yellow. A little bit on the front of the fin. If he starts to disappear into the background, right, because you have so much yellow, come back with your black and push it back. Because what you want is you want him to have contrast from his background, even if you are working on his lighting. And so what I had happen there was he just disappeared. So I say no. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I'll be like, I really feel like I need this, but that isn't what I need right there. I'm just going to put that back for just a second. Let that rest, and what I actually think I'm going to do is maybe a little, I'm going to have to get into the zinc white, and I do need a little of the blue in it. Let's see if we get it this time. Just a little bit right here. Oh, there we go. Just a little highlight. See, now it's showing up against the background. This is a soft, see how soft that is? And you're going to want to soften that edge. And my advice for that is, take the extra paint off your brush and just very lightly dust here. A little bit right here, this edge of the tail, and then maybe coming out the back. And then you can add a little of this highlight to the top of the fin, but not a lot. And if it gets too light, what do? You got to go back with the black and the blue. Dark enough to improve that value. So see, there we go. That's what we're doing. So we're just making sure that we have the highlight, but we don't lose his values. And he's going to have dark shadow right there. Because, you know, I've seen a lot of sharks and tornadoes that have strong feelings about how it's going to be. I think another place I definitely am going to want to shadow is right here. Under the belly. Just so that the fin feels separated from the belly. There we go. Yeah, I like that. All right, so here we go. We got highlight, got everything. Let's come across the front with a little of this crimson. You can add some white to it to really have it show. Just at the front of these gums. Maybe a little bit here, but we want to leave the shadow under his lip. And if we lose his shadow, so I'm just coming along this little edge here, small brush really helping me. If you lose his shadow, put that back with your blue and your red. Because under a shark's lip is definitely in shadow. All right, so we've got that really showing. Let's let that dry for a second. Now we're going to get into a teeny tiny brush and put our teeth in, and then we're totally done with this tornado shark experience that we've created. So I have here a 10/0 Ultra Shader. What I'm talking about here is just the tiniest brush you can have. My paint has started to skin a little bit because being out, so you wouldn't have to put out fresh paint, but it's probably a good idea I do, or I put out fluid paint. Either one of those would be a solution for me. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet in the water. And I'm going to just load it with a little bit of this very fresh paint. All right, this is probably skin, so I'm going to be fighting this, and that's why I did that. And I'm going to come put in a whole ton of teeth. Let's watch putting in teeth. So the teeth are going to be very white. And they're a lot of fun to put in. I like to say that there's rows of them, so it's always good to put some tiny teeth in the background. There's a lot of online pictures to find on teeth, you know. And just try to remember, you know, these guys, this is their hands. Kind of scary hands that they have, but that's their hands, right? That's how they explore the ocean. That's how they eat. That's how they tell each other to back off. So, you know, whenever you're doing a shark, remember you've got to really do its teeth, right? Let's give it some bottom teeth. Because, I mean, teeth should be in rows. They should be in rows. Right, we're just painting a bunch of teeth, and that's super fun. Tooth here. Because, you know, baby teeth have got to be moving forward. Otherwise, how are you going to eat? Shark got to eat. Shark got to eat. All right. Once you have teeth flying through your sky you're super happy with, the last thing, and I think this is important and something that's easy to forget, is that you've got to put his little nostril in and his little eye. So I'm going to put his little nostril in. I don't actually know it's a nostril, but probably some sort of sensing thing. I think you know, it's got to be a nostril because they smell, right? But so that it doesn't look like, you know, you got to put in an eye. Which you should definitely make bigger. And I might knock the nostril back a little bit so it's more of a shadow. I'm not going to worry about gills. I'm going to knock the little nose thing back a bit with some blue. But I just want that there. I just want people... There we go. All right. And now, you know, because he would totally have a little eye reflection. Right? It's so beautiful and wonderful. I'm doing this little white outline to help his little eye really pop. I'm so citing this piece because I'm proud that I did it. And I hope you're proud that you did it too. Let's sign real quick. our goofiness here. Oh yeah, we shark and we tornadoed. Don't infringe on anybody's brand. We talk about it. All right. Why is the shark in the sky? We all know now, don't we? It's because the seals are there. That was super silly and fun. I hope you were loving this week of sharks. I hope this was like such a surprise project in projects that, you know, you didn't know you were even going to be doing. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I hope I get to see you on Twitter, where I'm going to be live tweeting during the show. I'm going to see you at the easel really soon. Keep chomping on in.